The state of Alabama has officially certified Doug Jones as the Senate, the person who won the Senate race in the state. And Doug Jones is still being challenged by Roy Moore, which is hilarious. The reason why it's hilarious is because Roy Moore believes that he did not lose. He thinks that voter fraud was the reason why Doug Jones won by a fairly small margin, 1.5% of the vote. Now, after late counted provisional and military ballots were added to the total, Doug Jones defeated Republican nominee Roy Moore by 21,924 votes out of more than 1.3 million cast. So that is the final number, okay? And Roy Moore is not happy with that. He doesn't believe that it's true. He thinks that it's all fraud. So he actually filed a lawsuit and urged the state of Alabama to postpone the certification. So he filed this legal complaint alleging election fraud and asked the state to consider holding a new election. Montgomery Circuit Judge Johnny Hardwick denied Moore's request to stop the process. Moore's campaign argued that Alabama would, quote, suffer irreparable harm if the election results are certified without preserving and investigating all the evidence of potential fraud. By the way, his allegations of fraud were investigated and no fraud was found. He's just like Trump. He just cannot handle the fact that he's a loser and didn't win the vote. And when I talk about Trump, I'm talking about the popular vote, obviously.
Okay, so there's a bunch of parts of the story that I love. Number one, in order for you to have context as to who certified the election, I want you to know that it was Alabama Governor Ivey who supported Roy Moore that said, yes, this election results are absolutely clear and real, and Doug Jones has won. Attorney General Steve Marshall, Republican. Secretary of State John Merrill, Republican. They all certified the election. Okay.
I thought that it was illegal immigrants who were in the country that.
And Marxists, don't forget the Marxists, all over Alabama, and the Muslims. But somehow those three really hardcore right-wing Republicans all agreed that it was a legitimate election. And then when you turn to John Merrill, Roy Moore says, fraud. And Merrill's like, well, great, I'm a Republican. I like to pretend there's fraud. So we set up a whole website in Alabama called stopvoterfraudnow.com. So you're supposed to go there and tell us the cases you have of fraud. And in the legal complaint, this is my second favorite part of the story, they're like, there's tremendous voter fraud. And they're like, all right, well, show us one instance. Not going to. But this is a legal complaint. If you're ever going to show evidence, this is when you would show it. You're not talking to a reporter. You can say, oh, well, that's legal, I get to. No, you're suing them, saying there was fraud. So where is it? The only thing that they could point to was a guy on tape who said, oh yeah, a lot of people are coming in to help from out of state. So Merrill, who's a Republican and can't wait to find voter fraud so he can do voter restrictions, right? Goes and investigates, finds the guy, and turns out he lives in Alabama and has every right to vote and didn't commit any fraud at all.
I mean, come on. It's surprising that Trump didn't endorse Roy Moore from the very beginning. Because remember, during the primaries, he endorsed Luther Strange. And then he immediately regretted endorsing Luther Strange when Roy Moore won the primary. But the reason why I say it's surprising that Trump didn't endorse him from the very beginning is because he's almost like a carbon copy of Trump. Won't take personal responsibility, even though Republicans claim they're the party of responsibility, personal responsibility, and can't handle the fact that he lost. You lost. In fact, here's another part of the story that I personally really enjoyed. There were people who didn't want a Democrat. They didn't want to vote for a Democrat, but they did cast a protest vote. And the way that they do that is by writing in a candidate, right? Now, according to the official numbers, 22,819 ballots were cast for write-in candidates, okay? And a lot of those people put Luther Strange as that candidate. So just to go back, Moore lost by 21,924 votes, and 22,819 ballots were cast in this protest vote where they wrote people in.
Yep. Now look, even if they hadn't done right, not every vote was for Luther Strange.
Right.
Moore would have lost anyway, but it doesn't matter. Write-ins are 100% part of the process, and sad day for him, which leads to my third favorite point about this story. In his legal complaint, he says, well, these elections results must not be true because I didn't do as well as Republicans normally do in Alabama. Oh, you figured that out, did you, Sherlock? Right? Of course. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why you didn't do as well as other Republicans in Alabama. Because there were allegations of what a monster you are, and you're a lunatic who says things like we should get rid of all of the amendments after the Bill of Rights, including the ones that freed the slaves. And you say George Soros has some sort of sexual political agenda and is going to hell for being Jewish. Gee, I wonder why you didn't get as many Republican votes as people normally get in Alabama. And to cry about it with no evidence, terrible. But my favorite, and that actually leads in perfectly to number 4. So many good parts of Roy Moore's loss and crying. And by the way, it sounds he looks a little triggered. So I hope the snowflake didn't have his feelings hurt. He cited a number of election analysts in his complaint.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah. So James Conner Jr., one of the election analysts who signed an affidavit on behalf of Moore's campaign, has written and spoken about Zionist control of world politics and alleged an Israeli role in September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks.
Sounds like he'd be a credible expert to chime in on all this.
They put that guy in as a like, ho, but we have an expert, right? So this guy, I mean, on top of everything else, deeply anti-Semitic, bigoted, racist, the list goes on and on and on. And then he has the nerve to write in his complaint, I don't know why I didn't get as many votes as Republicans normally do. If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
you know, I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.